welcome to Ukraine Today. I'm Volodymyr Solokhub. Join me now to discuss the first week of the work as an MP of Ukrainian pilot Nadiya Savchenko, who was just recently released from Russian prison, is a fellow party member of Nadiya Savchenko faction, Ms. Olena Shkrum. Ms. Shkrum, welcome to Ukraine Today.
Hello.
So, Ms. Shkrum, can you tell us, let's start from the very beginning. You were in the airport when Nadiya Savchenko arrived. It was a complete surprise for everyone. How did you find out that she's coming?
Well, we actually knew for a while, but it was very hard to believe it. So actually we knew that she was supposed to come back at the month of May, but because there were so many promises from the part of our international partners and so many gossips as to when, it was very hard to actually believe it. And then the day before she arrived, we were gathered in the fraction by Yulia Tymoshenko, and she told us that under the huge scope of confidence that tomorrow it may happen, or will happen 99%. And basically the main question for us was that the mother of Nadiya Savchenko very, very much wanted to meet her at the airport, because the idea was that Nadezhda will come and have a press conference with the president, but obviously for a mother who is almost 80 years old and who waited so long and who have been under such amount of stress, she wanted to meet her, right at the gate of the airplane. And basically she asked us to bring her to the airport. That's why we came to the airport.
Yeah, and we all actually saw both her sister, her mother, the MPs from the Savchenko fraction. Can you tell us about how did mother and the sister, what were their feelings? Did they believe that this was really happening?
I don't think they did at the moment, because the mother of Nadezhda, she was all the time worried that she hasn't finished cooking her borscht. And Nadezhda actually told her, well, when she was in prison, she told her a number of times that the first thing I'm going to do when I come to Ukraine, I will eat your borscht, and I would eat the pirozhki, which is small cakes with meat and etc. in Ukraine. And so she was cooking it, I suppose, the whole morning. She didn't finish it. She was very emotional about it.
Ms. Shkrum, let's talk about more about Nadiya Savchenko's first week in the parliament. It has just completed the session has just finished in the parliament. How is she taking it? How is she taking the abrupt and total change of her lifestyle, of her profession, from being a soldier to being an MP?
Well, she's an incredibly active person, and you can see that. So she cannot sit down, for 6 hours straight. She's listening to everything. She's always listening to what the people are talking about. She's trying to read everything, which is impossible in Rada. So my first advice was to her that, you don't have time to read every bill. You have to either trust somebody from the fraction, either trust somebody who is working for you as an assistant, but, it's impossible to read everything. So she's adjusting. She's trying to do the best job possible. She's actually trying to answer every letter she receives personally, which I don't think will be possible at all. So again, we are advising her not to. We are advising to delegate it to her assistants, because she's receiving more than 200 letters per day. Not possible. But she's trying to do everything, by herself, organized, very active, not sleeping. And I think that she needs to adjust to the fact that she's not going to be able to. And this is our main advice to her at the moment. She also attended her first committee meeting, because even when she was in prison, she wrote to us that she wants to be a member of the Committee for National Defense. I think it was an interesting experience for her. This is the thing she knows very well, but she knows it, from the side, being there in the field. And when you talk about corruption here in legal terms and specific legal clauses, and when the devil is in details, which are small legal details, of course it's much harder. So she's looking for lawyers now. She's looking for more assistants who could help her. We've passed to her already a number of bills she's responsible for by herself. So she already read the bills for the first fraction meeting on this Tuesday. And, well, she's very organized, she's very active.
So it looks like she wasn't taken aback by all this.
No, she's not taken.
Chaos.
No, she's not taken. Well, she's not taken back, and she's also not taking time to adjust or to relax. She just comes straight towards it, which is a good thing probably in Rada, because it took me, for example, a number of weeks to understand what is going on, and she's making it much faster. She feels actually, well, she feels that she had missed 2 years. And she actually feels very bad about it. She's trying to fight the system very, very hard right now. Obviously, when you come to the Rada, it's a big chaos. So just today we talked with her, and on Friday the parliament is not working properly, as you might see. So there is 1 hour for questions from the government, a question period, and this is when MPs come, and then basically MPs leave and we don't work, even though we're supposed to be there until 2 o'clock. So Nadezhda is thinking about changing the parliamentary rules. She says that this is just ridiculous. You never get this in the army. Why do you have a vacation on Friday? And this is what we also feel frustrated about for a while. But when a new person comes and she's becoming, actively involved in this and she's super emotional, you think, well, you're right and we should do it. So I think she will change a little bit some of the questions which we are used to, which we are frustrated about. She will just push us to do it. Obviously, she was very emotional during the time when we voted for the Constitution. She received, as far as I know, a number of letters, a huge number of letters from her fellow members from her battalion, from the army, etc., where people say that in the times of war you don't change the constitution. So she feels very strongly about it, and it was interesting to see this discussion in the fraction.
Ms. Shkrum, considering that your fraction is rather small, relatively small in comparison to other fractions, how did the arrival of Nadiya Savchenko, or rather return of Nadiya Savchenko to your fraction, change things internally? Did she manage to, did she shape up your fraction? Did she wake up your fraction?
I think she did a little bit. Well, obviously we are, very, very happy about it. And it was quite hard to see all the time her seat, and that she's absent, and that that she's in prison, because we've seen it every day. She's sitting just in front of me, right? And you feel very much responsible that she's not here with us, responsible with all the parliament and with the president, but still it's, it's our fraction. So basically, obviously, we are very much relieved, even though we have to fight for all the other people who are not MPs and members of Batkivshina or any other party who are still there in Russia, and there are a lot of them. I think she woken up a fraction a little bit on the point that she has very good idea what is going on. Actually, she's been reading a lot. She's been receiving a lot of information. She has very strong opinions about things. Most of these opinions, they actually are what is our position, but she's fighting strongly for it. So she's not compromising, and it's actually a good thing in Ukrainian politics, because all the time we are trying to. We're trying to fight for a real reform, and you need to compromise, and you need to speak with somebody, and you need to find a middle with the administration of the president and with other colleagues, etc. And very often, from a good reform, with the compromises, you get to no reform at all. So she is not ready to compromise yet, and I think it's a very good thing for our fraction. It's becoming more more based on principles.
But is it a good thing for a politician? Do you think that she, being so straightforward and not willing to compromise, will be able to succeed as a politician?
I think in Ukraine, at this time, yes. I personally think that this is not the time when you can compromise the main values under what the people actually died on Maidan. So, for example, I'm leading the law on the civil service and the reform of the civil service, and if we would have compromised some of the points, the reform would not be there. And right now, the implementation of the reform is trying to compromise all the things that we achieved, because nobody wants radical change.
But sometimes you have to compromise, because
sometimes,
you need votes.
Yes.
You need votes from other MPs.
But this is a question, because when you talk about a successful democratic country, obviously you need to compromise, you need to find something in the middle. But when you are talking about the Ukraine right now, we have lost so much time. We need really real reforms. You cannot compromise on the value of the reform itself. So I'm not sure that it's better to compromise and to do something to the middle right now in Ukraine. Maybe it's better not to do anything at all, and then try another time to achieve it all the way, So I think in this way, especially when Nadezhda is talking about fighting corruption in the army, I think it could be a very good value that she is not ready to compromise her personal beliefs. But we will see. I mean, it's just the first week.
But again, do you think that she being on her own with that fight, do you think she'll be able to change something?
No, she won't. She needs a team, and this is what she understands. So that's why I think the fraction is very important. And I think she talking with other MPs from other fractions who are combats is very important. And we have actually seen an interesting situation when there was an important bill passed, and some combats from Narodny Front didn't vote. So she went she went there, and we were a little bit worried that, well, maybe it's going to be a fight or something, and she just talked to them, and 10 of them voted. So it is nice because she can talk to them with their own arguments. I cannot talk to them in my line of argument. I wasn't there. I was not in Donetsk, but she can. So it was very interesting.
Well, this is an interesting question. How is Nadiya interacting with our other MPs, apart from the MPs from your fraction? Because in one of the news reports, the journalist said that some of the MPs are quite wary of her. They are trying to keep their distance and just watch what is happening, how it's going to develop. But what is from your perspective? How do you see the other MPs who are not members of your faction? How do they interact with Nadiya?
I don't think she interacted at all with the Party of Regions or with the ex-members of the Party of Regions. I think they're most worried. It's the opposition bloc, some members of the Vidrodzenia party. So they are trying, not even to go the same way where she's sitting actually, which is understandable.
So
because
they are keeping their distance.
I know that they should be worried about it. She feels very strongly about it, and I mean, which is okay. She has met a number of MPs who are combats at her first day, and I mean, they've interacted very actively. I know that they sat down already and talked about certain bills in the Committee of Defense. They are already doing some work together. So obviously, she feels very involved in this area of defense and the army and the volunteer battalions, etc., etc. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, it was the first time she has met Yarosh, which was also quite interesting. So they sat down and they talked for quite a while. So I think it's going, it's going quite well. I think that, we need to actually give her some time to understand what is her main goal and where she wants to go. And obviously it will be something connected with the defense. And then I think that she will gather around a lot of different people from different fractions, because in a lot of fractions we have volunteers, we have combats, we have people who help the army, we have people who go to the ATO region and know what is going on there. So it's actually one of the things that usually unites, or at least can unite, the parliament. And even though we have so many differences, when it's a question of defense, all of us vote, well, maybe besides the opposition bloc. So I think this could be a good example of actually unification of the parliament under the good law or a good reform.
Yeah, some interesting developments there, and well, Ms. Shkrum, many thanks for finding time to come and talk to us and share your insights. We'll definitely be following these developments really closely, but at this point, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We were discussing the first week of Nadiya Savchenko in her role as an MP with a fellow party member, Ms. Olena Shkrum. I'm Vladimir Solohup. Thank you for watching Ukraine Today.